Yeah, so I assume you guys are all beach volleyball players here, ready to learn about offense and get a little bit better, get some more clarity. And I hope to give you, this is probably like 60, 70% of like what I would teach on offense. There's a lot of layers to everything, but this is a lot of that foundation. Yeah, so I'm Miles. I played in the Paris Olympics for beach volleyball. I don't know if you can see, but my UCLA jersey is here. I was an indoor volleyball setter there. I've always been kind of an engineering nerd. I was the same way in middle school and high school, and I still am now. And yeah, I love anatomy. I have all these anatomy posters here. I talk to physical therapists all the time. I really like just the human body and learning about it. And it's been really fun learning about the complete hitting sequence throughout my volleyball journey. I started when I was 12 in my backyard with my dad and brother. That's really where a ton of my development was literally in my backyard playing one-on-one volleyball with my brother, and a lot of wall volleyball. You can see some videos here. This is like all me playing at home. So that's me when I was, I mean, these are all me. And so I'll just let them kind of run, but you guys can just see, this is the backyard ball. This house is now burned down in the Palisades fire. The court's still there, but the house on the left is burned. But yeah, I just do hitting lines with my brother all the time growing up. And we'd also play one-on-one. These are just hitting lines. We wouldn't film the one-on-one part, but this is when I was like, the top left videos when I was maybe 14. The one on the right is maybe 18. The bottom right is 22. And then these bottom ones are kind of wall volleyball, or this is me doing a ghost approach and asking my dad to hit or to just video it. And then this is me setting against the wall I have at home. So this is what I mean by wall volleyball right here, is just kind of in the bottom left is just setting. So I was an indoor setter a lot. So I say all those things just to hype up wall volleyball and backyard volleyball. I think it's a way better training mechanism than actual 2-on-2 beach volleyball. Most people I know that are good, they had backyard growing up playing. I'd highly recommend it if you're just getting into the sport. Just like really do it more than you play normal 2-on-2. So yeah, I hope you're here ready to hit with intention. I hope you know your hitting can be better. None of us are at our full potential. I hope you can want to understand why, not just drill more reps. And yeah, I hope you can leave today with a powerful, repeatable attack sequence where you're not guessing anymore with your mechanics and wondering why that hit was good, why this other hit wasn't good. And it felt the same for both hits, but one of them was good and one wasn't. Yeah, this is for you as beach and indoor. It's the same overhead hitting pattern for beach and indoor. So if you want to improve your hitting, it's for both of those. Like I said, a huge part of beach is troubleshooting. Like you do a bad hit, you hit it in the net, you hit it out. Why did that happen? What was the approach angle like? Was it something with my arm swing? Was it the approach? Was it the wind? Was it the arm slot of where I had to hit the ball? All those are really relevant. They all have different layers to them. You know, there's a ton of drills and videos out there on YouTube and Instagram stuff, but I do find it rare, especially in the way I see it. There's nobody's broken it down step by step. I have seen it in baseball, for example. Like I went to this pitching facility in Louisiana. This great pitching coach, his name is Brent Porciao. He taught me a lot about baseball pitching. He has it all step by step. So it's not like, but I just haven't seen it in volleyball. So I'm hoping to do that. My target audience is adults who just want to stop guessing and start improving. You know, your time is money. You got a job, probably play volleyball, I don't know, once, twice a week, and you just want to make it count. You want your focuses to be in the highest leverage points. And then for juniors, I mean, I went D1 in indoor, and really, if I hear a junior is playing club volleyball or tournaments and they don't have their backyard volleyball system dialed in, I think you should have that before playing club, personally. Yeah, so this is just a little bit more about that. I hope you can know a huge part of hitting is proprioception. If you know what your body's doing in the air, you can feel if you had a high jump or a low jump, or if you jump to the left or right or forward or backwards in all three dimensions, if your arm swing felt smooth and effortless or it didn't, and which part of your body didn't. And it's just important, because if you want to troubleshoot and speed up your development, yes, you can just do reps on reps on reps and just play, and you'll naturally develop skills. But if you want to speed that up, you're going to need some conscious direction. Yeah, and I hope, we're going to go over the full hitting chain, some things that separate intentional hitters from other people. And yeah, I'm full right now, but I will hopefully have more capacity to work with players one-on-one later. And so this is some of my background, kind of already talked about it. My goal is to be a high performance coordinator for volleyball. I've had one of those, not as a volleyball specific person, but just a human performance, high performance coordinator before. And it was super helpful. Main thing with a coach is they give you accountability and direction. All the videos are free for everything you could want. There's no shortage of information. It's just more about sourcing the right information and then having someone to hold you accountable. And that's kind of what a high performance coordinator does. They look at your whole training arc as a volleyball player, nutrition, mental, scouting other teams' film, and then of course like mobility, strength training, and actual volleyball skills. And there's just so much that goes into that. It's a huge optimization problem, and it's one that I've tried to solve over and over again. And I'm confident it can really speed up skill development by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5x. Yeah. So I don't consider myself an athletic person. I know I played in the Olympics, but really like I think so hard about what I do. Like it's not just my footwork is natural. I did have just kind of natural good footwork, but my arms, if you watch me throw a baseball or something, it would look horrible. Like I really have had to rewire so many things and work on my mobility, work on my strength. A lot of it's, strategy and mindset stuff more than physical ability. And beach is cool. Beach, you don't have to be tall to be good. There's so many layers. You can put different spins on the ball. You can have different ways you hit at different arm slots on your way up, on your way down. And so beach is fun because you don't need to be above 6 feet to succeed. And yeah, the problem for a lot of people, it's not effort, it's understanding. That brings us kind of to our first point, is that 6 separate movements is how the approach works. And then the way you approach is your approach angle. We'll go over that. Yeah, kind of the same thing here. So today's 3 main points. It's 5:20. We're 10 minutes in. Secret number 1 we're going to go over is your arm is doing is 6 movements. I hear a lot of people say it's just open the door and close the door, or they're just talking about your elbow. Your elbow is high and then it stays high through the swing, and it's just like it's from your foot to the tip of your finger. It's a giant whip with 6 primary parts. So. And then, second part, we'll go over approach angles. Third part is the improve anywhere method. And I hope these 3 ideas change how you think about hitting. So let me admit. Okay, so are you guys with me? Is it okay if I move on? Looking in the cameras. Okay, I see some okays. Yep. Great. So secret number 1, and please, if you have quick questions, you're welcome to ask if it's relevant. Secret number 1, arm swing is 6 movements. So I'm going to go over this fast. This recording will go on YouTube at some point. So let me check my camera frame, angle it down slightly. Okay, so with hitting, this is my hand, this is my elbow, this is my shoulder, this is my left hip, my dominant hip. I'm left-handed. So the base of the hitting whip is your hips. So I'll often take something like this. It's a rope, and you can see, if you think of Indiana Jones throwing his classic whip, there's the hilt of the whip, the base, and the tip just follows whatever the base tells it to do. It has no brain up here. It's all in the hip, in the hilt. Hilt of a volleyball arm swing is your hip. And so after you jump, you're going to gather some energy from the ground, and you have to funnel that successfully through through your legs, which is kind of easy. I would say everyone pretty much can jump, but then it's more complicated to funnel that energy through your hip, up to your shoulder, elbow, and then your hand. And so all the parts go in sequence. It's from bottom to top, and it's from bottom to top, and the bottom's first and the top is last. And so you need to make sure they fire in sequence. Each one adds speed and whip to the one before it. And so if you don't, you don't have to be fully aware of it, but you need some kind of a whip. Whip means the hilt goes first, then the stuff above it, and finally the last part. Common errors are the shoulder often doesn't lead the hip, but a really common error is the elbow will lead the shoulder. So people come in to hit, and at a frame before contact point, their elbow is above, in front of their shoulder. And so they're coming here, and then they're here, and they're swinging. It might look like this. And it's pretty subtle, but if you freeze frame from the side, the elbow is literally in front of the shoulder. It needs to be back here because the hip has to go first, then the shoulder, then the elbow, and then the hand, all in sequence. On contact, it'll look something like this. So the hand is ultimately in front, but it gets in front at the end. So just for you guys to munch on a little bit, the first of 6 separations is trunk twisting. And the first 3 have to do with hip-shoulder separation. So you're going to want, your body is essentially a series of rubber bands called muscles. Really, it's a series of like a pendulum. Like this is a pendulum. It just swings back and forth, and you're just a bunch of those. But then you have rubber bands attached to them, which are muscles, and they amplify they just make it more powerful. You stretch a slingshot back, you let it go, and it shoots the rock. And so the thickest rubber band of the giant arm swing slingshot is by far your hip and shoulder. It's the most powerful. It's the base of all overhead throwing movements. You need it in as large a quantity as possible to hit effortlessly and with control. And so the way you do it is just trunk twisting. So trunk twisting is this. You're trying to dislocate or disassociate your shoulder from being on top. There's no separation here. Now there's separation. My shoulder is literally behind my hip. So my hips are twisting this way, and my shoulder is twisting back the other way. If I just twist everything all at once, there's no separation. It's shoulders independent of hips or opposite of hips. And so that's the first part. A common exercise for that is the world's greatest stretch. If just DM me on Instagram if you want a video for that. I have a mobility routine. If you're interested enough to DM me, I will send it to you. Trunk bending is the second one, and so there's twisting. Pretty simple term, the term twist. It's probably hard to execute, but I think everybody on this call could, do this. And then trunk bending is this way. So it's like doing a backflip almost. And trunk bending is the second most important separation. The first 2, by far, they contribute like 80, in my opinion, like 80+% of the swing power and quality. So twist, then you combine that with bend. They happen one at a time. Twist, bend, and then you unbend and untwist kind of all together. Untwist and then unbend. So I hope that makes some sense as a semblance. The biggest thing about bending back, you want this power, you get piking or this kind of stuff, and then you get twisting. You're just trying to combine both of those in the same action to get like kind of a synergy effect. And a big part of trunk bending, yes, it brings some power and thrust into the ball, but a huge part about it is your arm slot. And so if you see, arm slot is a fancy word for just wherever you contact the ball. This is a, up arm slot. This is a side arm. So if you're throwing a baseball, it's a very side arm, low arm slot. The higher you go up this circle, the higher your arm slot is. And what bending back does for your shoulders is you can raise your arm slot and reach. If you ever have issues in volleyball reaching and hitting it over the net, most people do, it's often because you're not successfully bending back. If I rotate my shoulders, they're staying at the same altitude right now. I'm 6'3", shoulders are probably, 5'5" above the ground, and they're staying that way this whole time. When I tilt back, notice how the shoulders are drastically changing altitudes above the ground. And so when people try to reach, it's not just you're hitting it like here and you just do this with just your shoulder joint. the way you reach is throw the thing your shoulder or your arm is connected to, which is your shoulder. And so you want to throw it up. And by up, I mean you're going to trunk twist, trunk bend back, then you can throw your shoulder up and, oh, look at that. My arm is going to naturally reach at its highest point. A lot of times I think people try to reach with just the arm, and it's the arm's connected to your spine and your upper back. And so you're going to want to throw the shoulder up and let the rest of the whip naturally go up. That's a huge part of serving in tennis. So I often, with my clients, just type in this word, tennis serve load. And so if you see someone loading up to serve a tennis ball, they got a lot of trunk rotation here. But then you'll see when they contact the ball, they're very upright. And the way they get to this shape is not by just side bending. It's by bending back here, and then rotating on that tilted axis, which gets that shoulder up. So I hope that makes sense. DM me on Instagram if it doesn't, or email me. And yeah, so that's trunk bend back. The last one, this one's, I almost stopped teaching this one out. It's really minor. I wouldn't even think about this one. The chest stretch. This is now we're getting into shoulder elbow zone, because it goes hip, shoulder, elbow, hand. And so we covered hip, shoulder. Now we're going to shoulder, elbow. You just want to feel a chest stretch when you're coming through and unloading. On the load phase, you want to it just means get it back. Don't leave some energy in the tank, like a range of motion in the tank, like use it all up. So you get here and then make sure you maintain that chest stretch pretty much until contact, meaning you're not in front like that chest, it's pulling a lagging arm. Your arm is lagging behind, and your chest will feel a lot of that. Now we're going to move up to elbow hand. This is called lay back, where your elbow lays back, or your forearm lays back. So you're here. And then boom, this elbow hand. So no separation between elbow hand. Now there's separation because one is in front of the other. None. Now you have some. And so you're just going to want to get into that. But really the biggest thing is the chest stretch and the trunk bending. Trunk twisting, people kind of do it naturally. And then layback happens naturally. The last one, the bonus one, happens pretty naturally. I would really recommend focusing on trunk bending so you can throw your shoulder up, throwing it up. Oh, did someone have a question? Oh, no. If you have a question, feel free to unmute.
I was imagining pinky thumb separation.
Oh, yeah. I do so much of, like, yes, I'm teaching right now, but like I probably logged like hundreds of hours, like with my eyes closed, just doing stuff like this, or like thinking about stuff like that. I've done a ton of stuff without a volleyball, like a ridiculous amount of active visualization. Yeah, so that's how it all works. The last one is pinky thumb. It has to do with what's called pronation, which is like twisting your forearm, like hands up, like a police person is telling you put your hands up. You're like, I don't have anything. But yeah, you're like twisting your forearm. And there's some of that when you're in layback, you want to be kind of thumb back. And then when you go forward, every part of the joint has a load version and an unload version. It's just like a bunch of slingshots. So you twist and you untwist. You bend, you unbend. You chest stretch, and then you kind of, like after contact, you sort of do a bench press like up here with your chest. Lay back and then internal rotation. And then you have supination and pronation with the pinky. And so it's just, everything's just a kind of stretching back and then firing. You just got to do it in sequence. Huge part. Oh yeah, I saw a question. Let me get to the chat. Where does your elbow stay relative to the trunk twisting or bending? Yeah, so when you're bending the trunk back, so yeah, you're going to twist, but the bend part, which is the part I see happening the least, is your elbow is going to be like here. I usually teach, if I have to, I usually don't even mention it for most people, but elbow like parallel or that your upper forearm parallel with your shoulders. So it's something like this. And while it's here, it's like that. But then as it comes up, it's going to be here. Ideally on contact, you have a straight line from your non-dominant shoulder to your shoulder to your hand. So this is like the direct opposite of that. This is like a 90-degree angle, like shoulder, shoulder, arm. This is a 90-degree angle. You want to be a straight line from non-dominant to dominant to hand. And just, I'll do that same thing again, but like you can see that here, you know? So when it's like people say shoulder to ear, and yes, I think shoulder to ear is good for like, the truth is a volleyball arm swing, it won't be a totally straight line. It's very rare. It'll be like this, maybe not a totally like tennis, but you'll have more power if you can do it. It's just kind of hard with people's jump heights and stuff like that. Wesley, you had a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. I feel like a few coaches have told me like that I have like a crunch motion at times.
Oh yeah.
Can you explain that and where it comes from and how it can be fixed?
Yeah. Sometimes a lot of girls, because their breastplate sits differently. I mean, you can just look at me here, a very pikey swing when I was, I mean, this isn't even when I was just starting out. I don't know. I was already like decent at beach volleyball or whatever this video was. But this is my brother setting me, and I don't even know exactly what's about to happen, but I can guarantee you there's a lot of crunching or piking here. And yeah, I mean, there was. And so what's happening there is, so like, there's a lot of me. I mean, I am rotating, but I used to pike quite a bit. And piking's fine. It just looks weird when you're not having rotation with it. So if you just pike, so basically a pike swing would look something like this. Very little rotation and just bend back and then bend forward. And it can often lead to shoulder issues and maybe back issues. And really it's just lack of control and power, more than that. But if you do have a piking swing, you're going to get less control as you switch, but ultimately it has much more, just like any kind of growing pains. But yeah, when you pike, if you can rotate with it, then it suddenly looks like a pretty dynamic swing. But if you just have the pike part and just bending back and forth, so that's what when people say you have a very crunchy or pikey swing, it's typically because you're not rotating enough and you need more spine rotation mobility to like actually be able to do that. Because if you don't have the mobility, you're not going to be able to like twist that much. Like I can twist this far or whatever, but if you might only be able to twist this far. And so, but you might have like a ton of spinal extension or bending back mobility. And so your body's just accessing what it already has. That's why the mobility work, in my opinion, is more important than strength training for arm swing stuff. Just because you need to be able to separate your joint segments. All right. I hope that answers the question, Wesley. That's okay. Great. Yeah, I see the thumbs up. Yeah. So this is my hitting essentials warm up. You could look this up, world's greatest, take a picture and just ask AI what all these things are. But this one you wouldn't be able to see on AI. Just DM me. Chest stretch. That one's easy. Just go to a wall, lay back. I would just look up a layback yoga stick stretch and you'll find something on Amazon or on YouTube. Yeah, but the idea is you just stretch all of them before you play and then you go activate it by playing. Yes, Jesse?
Yeah. So I was curious, when you're practicing this, I feel like I can practice it in the gym as much as I want, and then I go to jump and it all goes to shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, is there a way to practice it without including the jump?
Yes.
To where you feel?
Oh, absolutely. That's, if you can't do it on the ground, I'm like, whoa, what are you doing jumping? Like, that's how I think about it. I'm like, who introduced this crazy timing complexity? Like it's insane how complex it is. You're in the air, and not only that, it's not like the ball's in your hand and you're throwing it. You're having to track it. And like if it's over here, like, and you just arbitrarily rotate and the ball's over there, like it's not going to work. You got to like go get the ball. And so I think you got to learn how to throw a ball. Then you can learn how to jump and throw a ball, like tennis ball. And then you can learn how to hit a volleyball standing. And then you jump and hit a volleyball standing. And so I would go through that crawl, walk, run development and just take your time with it. I mean, you'll get it, but you're going to get it slower if you just jump to the end. It's just going to cause frustration and ultimately a lack of like actual development. And so yeah, that's my opinion. And then the kind of coordination and synchronization part, like the way I would do it without a ball is I do these flows. So I'll just go here and I'll just like, I'm standing right now. I have a standing desk and I'm just like going like this. And like, so I basically come up, I use my non-dominant arm to help turn as well. I bring my arm back and then I just go through like ghost swings without a ball. And each rep, I work on a different part of the separation and you learn how to synchronize it because it should go bottom to top, bottoms first, then your shoulder, then your elbow, and then your hand. And you can work on all 6, but you only work on one at a time. Don't think of all of them at once. It's just impossible. You can only think of one thing at a time. So think with the first thing first, though. If you don't have the first part, it's just going to crumble. It's the foundation. And so last kind of main thing today, the third one's pretty quick, is approach angles. So people, this is from another, it's funny, I have this up already. Yeah, whatever, I'll just do it over here. So this is like a crappy volleyball court, but it gets the idea done. So you have this video or this court here on the right, and it'd be nice to just delete. Let's go. Figured it out. Okay. All right. I'm gonna make it fully clean, guys. Give me a second. Okay. So that was bad. So this is a rectangle which represents a beach volleyball court. This is a line which represents a net. And this is 2 people playing beach volleyball. They're receiving a serve. And so if you receive it from the right side, or let's do the left side. If you receive it from the left side as a right-handed person, the approach angle is like you pass from wherever you pass. And then you get to a spot where you start your approach, and then you do your approach. I call it the passing point. Then you transition to your staging point, and then you take your approach angle to hit the ball somewhere like here. And you could take a more outside in approach angle, a more straight approach angle. You could even go inside out if you wanted to. You could also curve. A lot of people do like a banana approach. I'm a big fan of it on the right side for right-handed people is the banana, kind of a curve. Huge thing on approaches, I hate zigzags suck. If you have a sharp angle where you're like 1, 2, zigzag 3, 4, if it's a sharp corner here as opposed to a curve, you lose a ton of momentum, ton of vision. You're basically just restarting your approach wherever you curved or wherever you zigzag from. So yeah, really try and, you know, wait on your earlier steps so that you can have a straight line or a curve. But the biggest thing I'm going to say is just your approach angle determines everything. It's where you start your approach. And the premium in beach volleyball, if you're like a good beach volleyball player, it's because you can take the same hip orientation, meaning your hips are facing like wherever they are, like right now I'm facing the camera. And from this orientation in the air, my hips can stay there and I can hit this way, I can hit this way horizontally, and I can also hit vertically up or down. And I get this whole picture of where I can hit. If you can do that from the same hip orientation to multiple spots, people can't read you. You're jumping and your hips are here and you might hit there or there. And hopefully you add vision to that. You can peripherally see what's going on or actually see and take a look off the ball and, you know, make an informed decision and actually execute the decision successfully. So for example, you just look down or you kind of see the block, you see the block dive this way, you're in the air, you're like, suck it, like I see you, and then you hit it down the line or the opposite. And same thing with the defender. And so, but a huge part is the approach angle sets your hip orientation. Every hit, I would really start thinking about it from the hips. So like this is not angle or line, it is off the line of my hips. This is not angle or line, it's across my body. And because your hips set everything. If you're taking an approach, like for example, this is a straight approach angle. This is a more outside in one. This person's hips are facing down the line. This person's hips are facing angle. But I would start to learn that this shot is the same shot because it's relative to your hips. You know, it's not relative to just their approach angle. And this is the same little angle here for each person. And just I'd learn that because your hips set the approach. So if you hit it out of bounds, I wouldn't say, oh, my hand should do something different. I'd say point your hips such that whatever trajectory just came off of your hand is going to be in. So if I hit it this way and it went out, I'm not going to be like, oh, I need to make my hand more like turned in. I'm going to turn the entire system a little bit and just do the exact same hit, and suddenly it's in. And so I hope, does that make sense? Or let me know if that doesn't make sense. Okay, great.
I missed what the other line was, the angle. What is that?
This one? Or was it something I was demoing?
Yeah, well, yeah, but you had the lines and then the angle, the shoot off line. I got confused about what that was.
Oh, well, let's say, okay, the line with the arrow on it, like this little V, is your body. Like this is your approach angle. You're going to start your attack from here, and then the set is here, and you're approaching straight down the line to meet the set. The other one is the same starting point for your approach, but the set's more inside. And so does that make sense with those lines with the arrows on them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
the shootout.
The shootouts. Yeah, the shootouts are the hit you did. So
okay.
like you're approaching straight down the line, and then you do a hit like slightly wrist away off your approach line. And that's like the direction you just hit the ball. And I'm just saying that these two hits are the same thing. I think you should think of them like that because they're the same. Let's say this is like a 25-degree angle or something, or 30. Both of them are 30 degrees to the right of your hips. Like both of them are. Okay, yeah. So as opposed, because one's going kind of middle, one's going angle. But anyway, so yeah, that's just approach to your dominance. Like you can hit wrist away, like away from your body. You can hit straight and cross body. I usually think of it in terms of threes for horizontal angles. And yeah. Your approach angle will dictate which of those are in the court, which are out. Your body creates angles that are wider than the court, so you have to pick which angle to shave off. Those are all things we probably don't have time to go over if you have questions. Yeah, you have 3 hitting angles: wrist away, that's thumb down, away, cross body is thumb up, and then straight is in between those. And usually all of those can't be in all at once. So you have to pick which one to not be in, whether it's a little bit of wrist away, a little bit of cross body, or just these two are in, or just these two are in. And the one that your approach angle informs which of those are in. So you got to match it. I would just take a picture of this. This is like how I think. If you're cross body dominant, you prefer thumb up, I would approach like this. If you're right-handed and you're on the inside hand side, which would be the right side, actually that'd be the left side. This is for right-handers. Yep. So just take a picture, but the concept is more important than just memorizing. The goal is that whatever you're better at, whether it's thumb down or thumb up, it's in the court. Yeah, and then improve anywhere. I mean, this is just kind of how I've lived my own volleyball journey. Is you don't need a court or other people to improve. I did have a court in my backyard, but I did a ton of wall volleyball where I'd hit the ball against a wall, and most people have a wall. And you can get like a cheap $20 volleyball on Amazon. So the world's your oyster as far as improving. A huge part of it's motor imagery, and so there's the study I heard of 2018. You can like imagine doing something and there's real physical adaptations to it. I mean, of course, your brain is actually, but your brain is the command center. And so if you can, build those neural pathways or just, muscle memory or however you want to call it, like even if you're imagining it, great. You can imagine it in place, great. While you're driving, great. Even better if you can do it while you're imagining, great. If you can like fill in the environment where you're like, there's a blocker and somebody setting you and, another team, And then if you can get outside of yourself and view yourself from the ref's perspective, or from behind you perspective, or from the blocker's perspective, and from the bird's eye view perspective, and you know, from watching you on video perspective, like that helps, because you want that 3D model. Because when you get to the wall, when you're doing wall volleyball, like you have a ball and there's a wall, literally like any wall, and you're just hitting it against it, you can fill in all the details if you get really good at that motor imagery stuff. And it can become a very, like for me, I love the wall. It's like I'm, you know, going to play a volleyball match. There's just so much going on, but you have to simulate it, or else, you know, from the outside looking in, it's just crazy person. Yeah, you can do it wherever. I've done a bunch of ghost arm swings. All I mean by that is just doing this, like literally what I just did. Just this, hitting different angles, different arm slots over here, in front of me, behind me, short arm, straight arm, stuff like that. Skip this stuff. There's a lot to approach jump mechanics, guys. There's a lot. Yeah, so we basically, what we did today, we covered the 6-part arm swing. We covered approach angles. The way hitting happens is you pass. Volleyball's pass, set, hit. So you pass, you kick out, or transition to where you start your approach, which is the staging point. So you pass, kick out, get to your starting approach or your staging point. You do your volleyball hitting approach, you jump, and then you do your arm swing. And so, you know, these first two are pretty easy. This is pretty easy, a little bit more complicated, medium complicated, very complicated. And so kind of goes from simple to complex. And that's why it's so nice. Like, nail this stuff. It's so simple. Like, you should just nail it. Anyone can, if you can walk, you could nail this. Like, and that, or if you could run, you can nail this. As long as you can run in a straight line. Yeah. As far as piecing it together, I think that's a common thought with so much going on. It's just step by step, figure out even just what the heck I'm talking about here. What do all these terms mean? And then you can think, all right, you know, we're not going over passing today, but like this part has its own footwork. Figure it out. Kicking out. What do professional hitters do after they pass? They do something and try and copy them. And then you do this part. What do they do at their staging point? How do they start their approach? What's their approach angle? How many steps do they take on their approach? I mean, hopefully, like if I was coaching you, I could just kind of give you specific answers. I watch however you do it in beach volleyball and just tell you the specific things to think about. But if you can, you know, if you want to put the time in, copy. The benefit I could give coaching you is you just don't have to put in that time. I just tell you, you still have to put in the work. But so yeah, how I work with players, like I said at the beginning of this call, I look at your constraints, time, energy, resources. I look at your actual game, your own video. There's a bunch of ways you could put your training time in. You could do a lot of mobility. You could do a lot of weightlifting. You could do a lot of volleyball skill work. You could do wall volleyball. You could do motor imagery and active visualization. You could do stuff with nutrition. You could be more on the mindset side. You could watch more film. What do you do, when, where, and why? How do you do it? And how does it work with your own time, energy, and resources? That's kind of what a high performance coordinator does. And my training philosophy is let's get you better as fast as possible. So go from the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing to get better at with the maximum impact for your game, meaning it'll help you win. You know, we just progress up the volleyball mountain. You're all on your own volleyball journey. You all have your own potential, which is the peak of the mountain. And hopefully as a high performance coordinator, I can just speed up the, you know, path. This is what I've done. I'm full right now. I got to film a bunch of videos and the coaching I'm doing, but that's how it's worked before. It's pocket coaching. I charge this for 3 months. Starts with an hour call. And then the most important part that keeps continuity to the relationship is sending videos, asking questions, and just text me on WhatsApp. And I usually respond within a few hours, but I say that I advertise this just so in case. But yeah, this is from last call. Okay. Yeah, and then what's coming, if you guys want to learn more about this, I'm currently filming a bunch of videos. Hopefully, I've done a lot of calls where people are like, what do you mean by trunk bending? Or how can I do this? I've never even played volleyball. Or it's not very helpful to me when I buy someone's online course and I'm like, all right, like, what am I supposed to focus on? You have like 300 videos. And so hopefully I don't want the course to be this impersonal thing. I mean, I might offer that, but the main value is when you can call me and it's not like you need that much time with me, but I just need to see your volleyball game and direct you to the specific things you need to work on. Like if you're good at passing setting enough, like don't work on that. You got to just do hitting, you know, and that kind of thing. And my judgment on that is what you're paying for. Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm hoping. I'm mapping it all out. I don't know if you guys nerd out at all, but I use this app called Obsidian. And so this is where my course like vision lives. So it's like a tree with roots. And then if you plant the seed of my course, you'll grow into a beautiful volleyball tree. But the roots are here. So offense, defense, we have blocking right there. Defense is here. Pass, set. And then I'm going over hitting the most. So level 1 is here, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Level 5 is where I'm stopping right now. And there's just a lot of different thoughts, but that's hopefully what the course has. I hope it's not just something you, you know, it's not just like a YouTube playlist. Like I'm actually telling you the specific things I want you to watch and work on. These are questions I've gotten before, just to give you guys a feel. These are the answers. I'm hoping to answer all of these in one of my videos, at least one. People are wondering about getting under the ball and being early. Consistent approach timing, everything, you know, they're late, they're early. Like, how do they get it consistent? How do you decide where to hit? It's a huge problem. Like, how do you decide? You know, why did you hit where you hit? How do you change, you know, your instincts to be like to produce higher hitting percentages and win more games? Hand contact, like that's a huge topic. Moving in the sand when you only have grass to practice on, and then you go to this tournament in the sand. And how do you practice for that? How do you incorporate music and rhythm into your game? The split step is huge. Offhand attacking, I'm practicing that right now. I mean, I'm just reading these questions, but there's so much, you know, and there's the rating system. How do I get from B to A to AA? What does it take? What does it mean to be there? And so that's it. We'll spend like 5-10 minutes with questions, then I gotta go. These are 3 if you guys want to take pictures or just, yeah, I mean, this is a really good article on kind of the hitting stuff. I just adapted this article for beach volleyball, and then this is one of them on motor imagery. So yeah, if you guys are welcome to ask questions. Wes has been told he swings like a girl before. I'm just looking at the chat. That is you know, some of the hardest hitters are kind of pikey hitters, but it is true that girls tend to pike more. How do you adjust? Okay, I just got a question from John Wagner. How do you adjust approach angle and hips based on missed sets? How does your arm swing change when it's a shot? That's a great question. It's in one of my videos about the shot part and the first part. So how do you adjust your approach angle and hips based on a missed set? So that's a great question. The question is, how do you adjust your approach angle based on a missed set? So let's say, for example, you exist here and you just passed it and you kick out, let's say, to here, and you're expecting the set here and you're expecting an approach angle like this. And the question John is asking is, what if he misses the set? What if he sets it here or here or here or like super tight? And that has to do with your attack window, your hitting window. How big can you make it? You know, like what is that zone? What is that zone where you can still adjust and successfully hit? And then there's all trade-offs. Like if it's inside and your wrist away dominant, there's a different trade-off if you're cutback dominant. And then how do you get your feet there? Should you wait? But if you wait too long, you're going to be too late. And then you got to stay tall. You can't just lean forward to get the ball. And I'm kind of just framing like the concepts. That's a pretty difficult question to answer. One, it's answerable, like, but it would take a little while. There's just every little spot, like this is a spot. I'd say it's like a few zones. There's like when it gets pushed past you or it's inside of you. So that's like this zone is like pushed past you. This one's inside of you. There's different ways. And then there's like off or tight, if it's off or tight in each of those. And then there's low and high, which this isn't a 3D, so you can't see that. But I let's just pick one just so you could see if it's If it's low and inside, and the set is here, it's low inside. Let's say you're wrist away dominant. Ideally, on your first step or on your second step, you'd realize, or actually on your first step, you'd realize, oh crap, it's inside, and you would take your first step in the direction of the ball, but your last 3 would be going off the original planned approach line to get that set. So it's really important to wait on your first step. So your last 3 steps are in a straight line. If your last 2 steps are the straight line one that are actually going towards the ball, it's so hard. You have to have 3 or more. So yeah, let's say you get your 3 going there, and like I said, it's low, so you got to kind of speed up. You're not going to jump as high. Don't try to jump as high, and you're going to have to look at where the blocker is. If they're just sitting inside in front of you, don't hit angle. You should probably poke back short here. If they're like, if you blew by the blocker and they stayed out here, I don't know if you guys can understand this graph at this point, but the hitter's here and they're basically approaching this way. The blocker is over here and they're giving you the street, but it's low and inside. If you can get a hit over the net, like hit it as hard as you can. If you're like below the net at that point, you could, it's a bad situation. You could go for a cut shot, I'd say. And I would pretty much say short line, cut shot. If you keep doing that and this keeps happening, counter with the jumbo, and tell your partner to set it more outside or adjust your starting port in if it keeps happening. So that's how I would address like a low inside set here. Okay. How does your arm swing change when it's a shot? So with a shot, it's the same whip analogy. I pretty much think of a shot as like a tiny whip. It's like small, you know, let's say it's just this big. It's this tiny, if you can see this, it's like it's like 6 inches, just a little whip. And then a hit is just a bigger whip. And so it's important to be aware of how much you're separating, because when you're hitting, you're going to want to load back for a big hit. If you're shooting, do not load back, because you got to release that energy. If you're going to shoot off of a big load back, it's going to look bad because it's not going to be a smooth load and unload. It's going to be like a load, dissipate energy somewhere else besides the ball, and then use just a little bit to hit. And then if you're going to hit, so it's basically just rotate a bunch to hit, and then you got to have that awareness of your body. I'm just going to rotate a little bit, but still have that whip and all those sequential separations. Those are the best shooters. It's a little mini whip. So a hit would be like this, and then a shot would be like this. It's really less trunk rotation. That's the main one. The rest would be about the same, I'd say. The best way to find your own lowest hanging fruit. It's a great question. It's like the question everyone should probably be asking if they're trying to get better at anything. Lowest hanging fruit for most people, if you're like B level, A level, you're not just like if you can pass a free ball successfully, or a really easy serve, that's not a huge issue. And if setting isn't a huge issue, like you're not doubling and you can just generally put it in the right spot, it's pretty much hitting for most people is the lowest hanging fruit. And I would say it's, you just kind of go from start to end. And so you pass. What do you do after that? You do something and then something else, and then you hit it. I would start at the beginning of that process, of the hitting process. I would make sure you're kicking out to the right starting point for your approach. And then you're going to have a nice, you're going to take the right amount of steps on your approach. You're going to take them at the right time at the beginning. If you can successfully clear those few checkpoints, then you're going to look at the second step of your approach, then the third step, then the fourth step. If it's a fourth step approach, you're going to make sure those are medium competency, and then you'll start, because they're just so easy to get, they're very low hanging fruit. And then I would start working on actually what happens after you jump. I might look a little bit at jump mechanics. I'd look at your backswing. Are your arms coming back? Well, are they, are your arms coming up, back, and then up? Are you triple pumping 1, 2, 3? Or are you keeping them down and it's just 1, 2? A lot of people triple pump. I would almost say most people triple pump when they're at the beginning. Yeah, and then the hitting wise, it's a little more complicated. You need like Casey Patterson, Andy Benish, I'd say me, like if you talk to, or Theo Brenner maybe, and I mean, there's a lot of people, but you could ask them for the hitting. The hitting's kind of hard. It's just hard. It's like there's so many little layers to it. So it's hard to find the lowest hanging fruit once you get to the jump and hit part. Kent Steffes used to say pop out from the right side, not to come inside on the approach from the right side. Thoughts? So the question is, an old not old, but 1996 gold medalist in beach volleyball. His name's Kent Steffes. He used to say pop out on the right side like this and come inside, outside in. That's maybe a bit too sharp. Like outside in instead of straight or inside out. And so this guy was saying, you know, should you come outside in or maybe a little more straight or actually straight or even inside out? A lot of people on the right side say go inside out. I'm a fan of the banana. The banana. It's like you go out a little and you come in. And ultimately this is basically tracing out like a circle like this big. And what you want to do when you're running in a circle is you lean towards the center and you just approach on, you know, on the circle. And I like it because if it's too inside, you can, you know, go inside and cut it off and kind of curl earlier. If it's too outside, you can kind of just keep going. And so I like the banana on the right side as a right-handed person. I think I see a lot of high-level people do it, and especially that lean in. You don't just at least a little lean in on the right side as a righty. When going up for a hit, should you think you hit the ball as hard as possible? Okay, a second question. Another question. When going up to hit, should I be thinking hit the ball as hard as possible, or should I stay loose and let the swing happen naturally? It's a great question. It's a difficult answer because I follow this guy on YouTube. His name is, I actually forget his name. I think he's in Austria or Serbia or something. I've called him once on Zoom. He's a tennis coach. And tennis serving is a lot like volleyball hitting. And tennis serving is much more developed as far as the coaching. And so I usually look at tennis or baseball when I want to know something about volleyball. I'll handle translating it into volleyball, but volleyball people don't understand overhead mechanics like those other sports do. They're just decades ahead. And so I'll look at tennis and I ask this guy so I'll stop rambling. The question is, should I hit the ball as hard as possible, or should I stay loose and let the swing happen naturally? So the idea is you can be drunk, which is like a super loosey-goose spaghetti noodle, and you're just like this, and then you can be like a gym bro or something, like a bodybuilder, and like clench your fists and like get everything really tight and just muscle the ball. And there's very little rotation and separation. It's just everything's happening all at once. It's not sequential. And there's a balance. What this tennis coach says is you're drunk on the load, drunk on the load, and then you're sober on the unload. And so you're like drunk, sober, and then you're even more sober, especially like the later it gets. Maybe drunk for the first part where your hips come and unload, but then you sober up. And so, because you want to relax to get the separations, and then you got to actively and powerfully contract to close them. And so I would say drunk on the load or like, how did you say it? Loose and natural on the load, and then hit it as hard as possible on the unload if you're trying to hit. Okay, next question. How do you construct your quarterback offense? What would you call a complete offensive kit? So yeah, I use a quarterback offensive decision-making idea for hitting. It's basically you have two options, option A, option B. You come into your approach and you're thinking option A, and then if option A is taken, you do option B. But you're not like deciding between both of them and like you pick one at the last second. You're fully on that option A, and then if option A is taken, you do option B, and option B is designed to complement option A, so it's a kill. Example, cut shot is option A. Oh, the defender is going to the cut shot. I'm going to switch to a high line, option B. Very simple. I would prefer same side of the court pairs, but I'm going to do 2 more questions, and then we're done. How do you I kind of glazed over offensive decision-making, but that's the idea. I'm trying to go quick. Yeah, DM me if you have questions. How do you balance playing consciously or making changes without becoming too analytical? So the question is, how do you balance playing consciously, like thinking about what's going on versus becoming too analytical? So there's this kind of dichotomy between presence and just being in the moment, not thinking too hard or too little, just, you know, just right. And then there's like thinking really hard about something. I think of it as, I've heard this coach say, there's the insect eye view. So if you're a little bitty insect, like a ladybug or something, or like a mosquito, you have like this tiny little view where you're like looking at everything like little. And so there's the insect eye view where you're focusing on one part of the separation, one conscious thing about something that's happening to the expense of everything else. And then the other view is the bird's eye view, where you're kind of just doing everything all at once. We can all kind of do this, like when you're in your car and you're driving and you're just sort of driving, you have that wide perspective. And then when you're like, oh crap, it's hot, I'm going to turn on the air conditioning, you kind of zoom out of driving for a split second. You're kind of trying to do both, but you're more focused on the air conditioning. And then once you fix it, you start driving again. And so that's the idea, is like insect eye view, bird eye view, you switch, you know, practice. The more isolated, the more controlled the drill, the more you can do the insect version. And then the more complex, you know, once you're actually playing is so complex. There's like 20 variables, like constantly changing, like all at once. And so I would just be in bird's eye view and try and fix stuff, you know, watching film, visualization, and with wall volleyball and hitting lines. Okay, next question. How do you sell a shot if you load differently for your shot versus swing? How do you hide the shot from the defender, or are you not trying to hide it? Okay, so it's asking about how to be deceptive with your shots. And so the most deceptive way to do a shot is, in my opinion, the way I was saying it, where you load less, you do a little mini load for the shot, and then a really big load for the hit. And the problem is, when people think they're being deceptive, when they do this big load and they're like, oh, I'm going to kill you, and then they shoot. But what they did is they loaded up they pulled their slingshot back like really far. And then basically, like, I literally imagine, if I'm going to throw a slingshot, I'm going to pull it back. It's going to go as far as possible. But if I wanted to just like get it to go like just a few feet, I would barely pull it back. I hope we can all agree that the barely pull it back is the outcome of a shot, and then this is the outcome of a hit. And if you're like, I'm going to trick this guy, I'm going to pretend I'm going to like shoot it as hard as possible, and then at the last second, I'm going to do a soft one. And that's pretty much like loading up to hit and then doing a shot. And the problem with that, and the way you would actually do that with a slingshot, is you pull it back. If you let go, it's going to be a hit. So you have to pull it back, then you have to pull it forward again to like just a little bit, and then let go. And it's so often a shot will look like, someone who has that mindset will be like, I'm going to hit, and then they like do some kind of compression thing and then hit it. So it's 1, 2, 3. So the slingshot would be 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, you're screwed. The ball's already too low. It's not going to work. You have to be 1, 2. Load, unload. And so it's actually way more deceptive, because even if you're looking at the camera, I look like I'm kind of hitting right now. Right now I loaded more back, and I still kind of look like I'm hitting. And so like from the side, you can tell this is a shot, this is a hit. But from the front, which is where people see you, it's harder. So it's not that undeceptive. And by far, a lot of people I see, usually on the more beginner side, they're more focused on deception. And by far, consistency and control and are what's important. Deception, all that deception is being able to make a decision at a late point in your hitting sequence. That's all deception is. There's some like purposeful deception, but as long as you could decide multiple things later in your hitting sequence, then you could change, meaning you're deceptive. And so I just focus more on late decision points as opposed to tricking. But there's some tricking as well. All right. Well, the timeline on my program, find all my videos in one place. It's a great outro question. So the last question is, do I have a timeline on my program for volleyball? Yeah, I think I'll get everything ready in like 3 months, 2 months, maybe 1 month. I'm playing a lot, and then I also work another job. And so this is like a third thing. It's still important to me, but I have to film literally like 200 2 to 5 minute videos. And I want them all to be like really efficient and compact, filled with valid information. And so just take some time to edit it. But probably a month, 2 months. I'm saying 3 in my head just to keep my expectations a little low. So yeah. Stop presenting. Thank you guys. Appreciate you coming on. This is being recorded. Yes, my next tournament is in Ostrava. I'm playing in Europe. Ostrava is a small town in the Czech Republic. It's the 3rd biggest town in that country, but it's relatively small. And